we have multiple federal rulings that the Trump administration seems to be just ignoring. And the question is going to be, what happens once these rulings are reiterated? We've seen a reiteration in Rhode Island, and then we move on to contempt. At one point, we're going to have a showdown. I haven't read a single thing that the Supreme Court is getting involved in at this juncture. It's unclear what's going on and or what's going to how this is going to go down one way or another. But I guess we will see. This story out of New York, there's always this old axiom, right? It's not the crime, it's the cover-up. And the Trump administration seemed to understand this in their first go-round, but they definitely understand it this time, because now what they do is they just commit the crime and they put a press release out about it, and nobody seems to have any idea as to like what to do about it. Because I honestly don't know. This Department of Justice memo dropped yesterday. And wait, before we put that up, we should also just say Eric Adams has been under federal investigation. I think there are at least 2 or 3 indictments that deal with him taking improper payments from the government of Turkey.
Right, up to $100,000. And it was also in the form of flights all over the world on Turkish Airlines.
He just has a strong affinity for the country of Turkey, and it's reciprocal. And I mean, I think that's probably the tip of the iceberg of his corruption. But
it was so brazen that the DOJ was able to bring charges against him, right?
Oh, yeah. And half of his administration, or 7/8 of his administration when he started, has either resigned in fear of prosecution or are also being prosecuted. And so this has been looming over Eric Adams as we are having a mayor's race in New York City in November of this year. In fact, we had Zoran Mamdani on, I don't know, a month ago, one of the people running in the New York City primary. Excellent candidate. I would recommend you check him out. And Eric Adams is running in this primary as well. But it's hard to run when you're under indictment like this, and no one really particularly seems to like Adams or to. What you don't see is a lot of people going like, "This guy's innocent. He's being railroaded."
Right.
It's just, I'm sure there are people who like Adams, but I've never heard anybody defend him publicly.
Even this memo doesn't defend him.
Well, it turns out that the Department of Justice has decided they're going to drop all the charges for the time being. This is a letter. It's a memo from the acting United States attorney to the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. This is the famed U.S. SDNY, Southern District of New York, U.S. Attorney. There's 4 districts of New York because it's big. And Southern District is supposedly one of the most independent and toughest prosecutorial agencies of the Department of Justice. You are directed to dismiss the pending charges in U.S. v. Adams as soon as practicable, subject to the following 3 conditions. 3 conditions. Defendant must agree in writing to dismissal without prejudice. What does that mean, without prejudice? If you have charges that are brought against you and they're dismissed with prejudice, that means those charges cannot be brought back. It means that it is prejudicial in the sense that it means that you've been really cleared. But without prejudice means we're not really adjudicating this matter. It's still an open question. This is important to keep in mind in a moment. 2, the defendant must agree in writing he's not a prevailing party under the Hyde Amendment. I'm not sure exactly what that's about. The matter, three, the matter...
It might have been the fact that was the Hyde Amendment included in the charges against him because of the corruption. That would make sense.
Maybe.
Okay.
The matter shall be reviewed and confirmed by the confirmed U.S. attorney. There is no confirmed U.S. attorney yet. Although she's going, Pam Bondi, I get. I'm sorry. Reviewed by the confirmed U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. So right now there's an acting director, or I guess U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, and they're going to confirm a new one soon. Now, following the November 2025 mayoral election, based upon all consideration of all relevant factors, including those set forth below. That's really important too. So in other words, we're going to wait. We're going to wait until after the mayor election, and we're going to wait until there's a new sitting Southern District of New York attorney to review the question of these charges and other relevant factors, in parentheses, including those set forth below.
And we'll get to that in a sec, but to note, in terms of the SDNY, they are, as you say, it's typically the most independent and the strongest, and like it's where Wall Street is, so they do some of those big cases. But the Trump administration is trying to change their independence in an unprecedented way, even more than the Bush administration, and is reportedly trying to stack this traditionally independent, well-funded office with loyalists too.
Okay, and I just want people to remember, including those factors set forth below. The DOJ has reached this conclusion without assessing the strength of the evidence of the legal theories or the legal theories on which this case is based, which are issues we defer to the U.S. Attorney's Office at this time. So in other words, we're not assessing whether there's a good case against this guy or not. We're not even looking at the evidence.
It's not our problem.
Not our problem. We're just putting this thing on ice until after the election.
Unless we want it to be.
And we just want to make sure it'll be reevaluated based on consideration of all the relevant factors, including those set forth below. Well, let's look at these factors below. One, first, the timing of the charges and more recent public actions by former U.S. attorney responsible for initiating the case have threatened the integrity of the proceedings. It cannot be ignored that Mayor Adams criticized the prior administration's immigration policies before the charges were filed, and the former U.S. attorney's public actions created appearances of impropriety that implicate the concerns raised in the Attorney General's February 5th memo restoring the integrity and credibility of the Department of Justice. In other words, they're claiming, without evidence, we should say, that Adams was indicted and charged with these things because he didn't agree with Joe Biden's immigration policies.
And he did raise, issues because of some of the stunts that were pulled by Republican governors. But most of what I've heard about him complaining about Biden's immigration policies has been after the election, as he's been openly begging for a pardon, saying almost this exact same stuff on Tucker Carlson's show. Second,
So that's one factor, right? Remember, this is going to be reviewed based on the two factors below. First is that weird timing.
Appearance of impropriety, which the Trump administration hates.
They hate those. And here's the second factor. Second, the pending prosecution has unduly restricted Mayor Adams' ability to devote full attention and resources to the illegal immigration and violent crime that escalated under the policies of the prior administration.
Violent crime went down last year.
Illegal immigration, at least in the last 6 months, was at levels that we haven't seen since 2019.
Yeah, it's all about vibes.
We are particularly concerned about the impact of the prosecution on Mayor Adams' ability to support critical, ongoing federal efforts to, quote, protect the American people from the disastrous effects of unlawful mass immigration and resettlement. So in other words, first off, we think that maybe the only reason why these charges came up was because he disagreed with Biden's immigration policy. And two, we're really worried that if we go ahead with this prosecution, Eric Adams won't be able to do what we want him to do with immigration. Now, I guess when we review this after the 25 election,
We'll see where we're at.
we'll see. Has the lack of a prosecution allowed Mayor Adams to do what we want? Because if it hasn't, then maybe we should just go ahead with the prosecution.
Because why not a pardon? He just blanket pardoned the January 6ers. If they, are convinced and that this was a political process, by the way, the Biden DOJ also got a conviction in going after Menendez, who was another Democrat, but whatever. If they were so convinced, then they would pardon him. But that's not what this is for. They want to literally blackmail him
whoa.
Hey.
Well, be careful with that word.
Oh.
What we're trying to do is assess whether he's more efficient in doing what we want him to do.
Talk about without prejudice.
If we don't prosecute him. If it looks like he's not efficient when he's not being prosecuted, we'll try the other way. Maybe he gets more efficient if we do prosecute him. It's called government efficiency. DOJ is what we call it.
Sometimes liabilities become assets for the wrong type of
That's
person.
right. You don't know. It's called A/B testing. That's what we're doing. We're doing, it's like you A/B testing things. Let's try A. Are you going to do what we tell you to do when we don't prosecute you? Because if you don't, we're going to go to B and we're going to prosecute you if you are not doing what we say.
I have a feeling that this administration places a high amount of value on blackmail material. And Pete Hegseth, I'm bringing him up just completely out of nowhere.
Here's the point. They are doing this completely in public.
Yeah.
The reason why they're doing this completely in public is if there was a backdoor call to Adams and said, hey, are you willing to play ball with us on immigration? Are you willing to allow ICE to come into the city and raid wherever they want? And we want your full cooperation. We want the New York City Police Department to function as essentially fluffers for ICE. We want them to give them, when ICE comes to town, we want New York City cops to close down the streets and barricade and surround, whatever it is, whatever we want it from you. Are you willing to do that? Because if you are, we'll drop the charges. They know if they were to make that phone call, somebody would leak it and everybody would go to jail. But instead, they literally write it in a memo. They outline the whole thing there, and everybody's just like, what?
Hey, it's on letterhead.
Unbelievable.
How corrupt can it be?
It really is unbelievable. And I'll tell you, we will see in this city, New York City will not stand by idly and allow ICE to come in and run ramshack. And
Hochul should remove him. Hochul, she has the power, or she should at least look into it.
I don't think she has the power anymore.
We'll see. I guess if there's a letter asking for the dismissal, she should have done it before, because I am terrified for immigrants in this city. But I know that there will be solidarity actions. But if you are a DACA recipient or you don't necessarily have papers in New York City, just try to come up with some plans, because Adams is not going to protect you.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.